Hey guys, what's up? It is the Merc and the Lich Lord here to talk to you about a simple card game called Fluxx. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying it is a Friday night. It is almost 11:30, and both the Lich Lord and myself have partaken in a few adult beverages. So if things get a little silly, you know why.
Not too many, just enough. Just enough adult beverages in red solo cups.
Rum and Cokes
Yes.
with the delicious Kraken spiced rum.
There's nothing quite better than a night of gaming to end it up with some alcohol.
And
Beer and alcohol.
indeed. And the game we are going to talk to you about this evening is a game that I generally find is better when you have had a little bit of alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun regardless, but I agree, it is...
People tell better stories
You
when
tell
they've
better
had a
stories when
little
you're
bit to
little
drink.
bit drunk, yeah.
And, talking about telling stories in a simple card game, the game we are talking about this evening is Fluxx.
And we actually have three different types of the game. We have Zombie Flux, which is primarily what we're going to be focusing on tonight.
Probably the best iteration so far.
I agree. Which we have the
You have to
wooden
buy it.
box
You have
for
to
this
buy
one?
it from Amazon to get the wooden box.
Yes. We have Monty Python Flux.
The weakest
Which-
of the Fluxes.
I don't know. I like Monty Python Flux, but I agree.
Monty Python Flux?
Monty Python Flux, but I agree. I think while it's fun, it is the lesser of the three. And Star Flux, which has been featured on Tabletop, Geek and Sundry channel.
Hi,
And-
Will Wheaton.
Hello. We like your channel. Star Flux is awesome.
It is a great game for those of us who are science fiction nerds.
Yes, like myself and like
Many wonderful tales of Herminius Freezer have come out of Starflux. The Lich Lord at the moment is withdrawing the Flux cards from the wooden box. You probably heard it go. Because it does that for some reason.
that's
what
the
they
top
look
card.
like.
This is the rule card.
The rules are very simple. At the beginning of the game, you draw a card and you play a card. But to start the game, everyone gets 3 cards?
3, yes.
Everyone gets a hand of 3. And after the hand of 3, the rule is very simple. You draw 1, you play 1.
Yes.
However, there are cards in Fluxx which change the rules, which means the game is always in a state of flux.
As an example of the changing rules, here is a new rule card, which this one is It's Not Working, which is just an example of how the rules can change throughout the game. There are several others throughout this version of Fluxx, that being one of them. I don't know, I haven't searched through the deck to look at all of them, but that's...
And speaking of this version of Fluxx, this version of Fluxx being Zombie Flux, it actually has its own special segment at the beginning of the game.
Yes, it does.
At the beginning of the game, when you draw your 3 cards, and everyone draws their 3 cards, there's a special phase to sit down creepers. In Fluxx, creepers are things that keep you from winning the game.
Yes.
In Zombie Flux, the creepers are, as you would expect, zombies. And because there are so many more of them in Zombie Flux than in Star Flux or Monty Python Flux, there is a special turn of the game in which you play any creeper cards from your hand, and then you draw more cards until every person has gotten rid of all their creepers, and then the game begins.
Yes. Some other cards that are featured throughout the game are, of course, action cards, which are just kind of random, I don't like these rules, so we're going to eradicate these rules and start over again. Things from that to, we are going to...
Reaching for another box of cards, nothing else.
I'm going to take one of your creepers, or I'm going to take one of your items. Another one is another example of an action card is Let's Shamble, which, as you can kind of read there, basically all players take one of their creepers and move them to the next person. Things like that. That's an example of the action cards. And a prominent feature of all the Fluxx games is, of course, goals. Goals basically determines how you win the game. This one, they fear fire, so you need wood and you need gasoline If you get those two, and you don't have any creepers, you win the game.
Now, it should be said that winning a game of Fluxx generally takes some thought and some outfoxing of your opponents.
Yes.
Because at any point in time, your opponent can play a new goal card and ruin your entire plan. Which sucks.
Yeah, especially when you are like, oh, well, next turn, I'm going to win. Yeah, and then, boom, rule changes, or boom, goal changes, or boom, your opponent wins.
However,
somehow.
There's nothing more awesome than getting the play all card and finishing your story with an awesome flourish and then completing the goal. That makes you feel pretty good.
And I think that's one of the really cool things about this game is that you can make a story. And it doesn't seem like a game that you could. I mean, on the outside, it's like, oh, it's just a card game where you try to, you find a goal and you have these certain different types of rules. And you play the game and you just win. But it's actually really interesting. You just start off with something random like, Hillbilly Joe with his shotgun and well, I guess we didn't really discuss the keepers. Let's say you're Hillbilly Joe and you get a keeper, which is a baseball bat, and you have coffee, which we all love coffee, and you are an incredibly hyper redneck with a baseball bat. You have to kill zombies.
See,
there you go. Opening to a story.
The reason I prefaced this with saying it's more fun when you've had some drinks is you can play this game strictly clinical by the rules, just playing cards, but it's not nearly as much fun as if everyone involved starts trying to tell their own story, and you're trying to explain why you should win compared to the other players.
Yeah.
I think the story is easiest to tell in, say, Zombie Fluxx, because you can take on the role of the survivor yourself. Yeah. Whereas if we were to talk about Star Flux, it's a slight bit harder because you're not really, you're more the narrator and less the main character.
Yeah, I agree.
But Star Flux is fantastic because it is filled with all kinds of nods to
Star Wars.
Sci-fi nerds like
Star
this
Trek,
goal
Star
here,
Wars.
Star Warriors.
I wonder what that is.
You need the
Jedi,
unseen force and the laser sword to win.
Just, I mean, if you take any type of popular science fiction, and not even necessarily popular, I mean, there are references to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, there are references to Doctor Who, there are references to Star Trek, there are references to Star Wars. I'm trying to think of other
there's
pretty much any possible science fiction you can think of.
There's references to Firefly.
There are.
Everyone knows Firefly was one of the best sci-fis ever.
Yeah.
And Fox is a bunch of dicks. I said it. Deal with it.
Comment. Please comment, because we want to see that shit.
If you don't like it, you're not a brown coat, and I don't care.
No, I agree.
Speaking of Firefly, you have the engineer, who looks much like Kylie from Firefly.
Kind of a side note, huge science fiction. I love science fiction. You can call me a science fiction nerd. I don't care. But I like Star Wars. So like Star Trek. I gotta be honest. I like the Next Generation a little bit more than the original.
Speaking of Star Trek,
look,
it's a red shirt.
Oh my goodness! Yep,
red shirt.
Expendable crewman. I have to say, and I have to agree with the Merc here that
fuck you, Fox.
Firefly is by far one of the best science fiction TV shows, especially. And Serenity is a really good movie too. I think it deserved more. I think it deserved a lot more. There was a graphic
novel. There was a graphic novel based off of that. Those Left Behind. It was really good.
But I think that Serenity was at least a good kind of homage to the show.
Yep. And, I make no apologies for my bitterness towards Fox because they really ruined that.
Yeah.
And because I'm a huge Doctor Who fan as well, you have the Time Traveler who looks a bit like David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. And that kind of looks like a blue police call box.
Yes. And the third version, which is the Monty Python version. This is more for the lulz. I gotta be honest.
This is true.
This is more just being goofy. It's a little bit more difficult to tell a story with this one, But I mean, any Monty Python fan, I love the Holy Grail. I really like Life of Brian, if you guys seen it. And even just Flying Circus in general, I thought was really good. But some of the creepers, just an example, is Three-Headed Giant, which, if you're familiar with, any Monty Python stuff, you're going to know what that is, especially Holy Grail.
The Knights of Ni are in there, I believe, is a creeper as well.
Nude Organist, which is from Flying Circus.
Yeah, you're welcome, everybody. Yep. There's some scarring nightmares.
Legendary Black Beast of Og.
Og.
No, it's Og.
Og. Yeah. Like that, kids.
The Spanish Inquisition.
The Inquisition. Do 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 do.
The Knights are saying. It's fun, but it is a little bit more difficult to tell a story with. But it's still great if you're a huge Monty Python fan.
And I think it's important to say there's a bunch of other Fluxes out there.
Yes, there are. There's a ton more.
There are some Fluxes, like these are all relatively geared towards the more nerd reading crowd, the more kind of I don't want nerd's a good word, like the zombie fan, the sci-fi fan, the Monty Python fan. There's a regular edition of Fluxx, which is more for like parties. I mean, you can get Fluxx, you play it at a party. I've never played it. I don't know what the cards are like, but I'm assuming it's just a bunch of fun you can have with your non-geeky friends while drinking some beers or wine coolers or
whatever it is,
non-alcoholic beverages. If you're not old enough.
Yeah. Or if you just don't like it,
or you don't like drinking, that's fine.
I can deal with that. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, Fluxx, it's a great game.
Fluxx is a wonderful game.
It's cheap. I think each of these decks is only like $10.
Yeah, and if you get it from Amazon, like that's where I got the Zombie Fluxx from. It was, I think, $10, and it came with that nice wooden. I mean, it's not super nice, but it's a pretty nice wooden case.
Cool.
I mean, there is a sticker on the back that says "Made in China."
That's everything.
But yeah, I really think that your enjoyment of Fluxx, the mileage you get out of it, will come from who you play it with. It is a 2 to 6 player game, and it says on the box that it should take anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes. Now, just the two of us, when we've been a few cups in, we've had games take an hour or more. That is partly because sometimes you just want to see where the story goes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes the character wins, and it's like, oh, dude, I need a better conclusion. I need more closure to this story.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we can give an example. The one time we played Fluxx. And he had a really great story with
Hermenius.
And he was basically kind of like an Imperial type of captain.
He was Imperial Rogue.
Yes. And I think I had like kind of...
He was under the sway of the dark side.
Yes.
And he had finally broken free.
Yes.
And you were playing...
I had a character who was questioning whether his reality was real or not.
Indeed.
And he had to find dilithium crystals, I think.
Yeah.
In order to build a ship, in order to find the meaning of reality.
I think they were alien.
Alien not dilithium.
Dilithium, that's just
that would be copyrighted.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, that was a really cool story, and actually I think you won.
No, I think you won, actually. I think you stole victory at the final moments.
I may have. I'm not sure. But anyways, we kept going because we wanted to know how it ended.
Indeed. Indeed. It definitely can become a storyteller's game. I mean, that is the honest truth. It can become a storyteller's game in a heartbeat.
And here at Full Shade Games, that's really what we like. We like games where you can create something, where it feels like you're more than just playing a game. You're part of the story, the narrative of a game, if you will. Maybe that's just because I'm an English major and I really like stories. But I think we both agree on that. We really like games where we can.
If you can't find some kind of a story behind what you're doing, it's not as fun. It's not as engaging.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's a huge part of, to me, and to you viewers out there. I don't know if you feel the same way or not. I will say this: life can be pretty shitty. you break up with your significant other, or a test doesn't go the way you want it to, you don't get the job you want, you don't have enough money to do what you want. So what do? You turn to things to escape reality, and board games, card games, role-playing games are a fantastic way to do that.
Yeah, it's a great way to escape, and you get together with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You're not, over the internet talking with somebody. You're actually together with your group of friends.
Not
there's people who
not
that there's anything wrong with gaming online.
with internet gaming or online gaming. No,
definitely not. I'm not trying to get that,
but I definitely feel that you lose something in translation. There's a difference between getting together with a bunch of friends, rolling dice or telling a story through a card game, and playing Call of Duty and teabagging noobs. I like Call of Duty.
Happens.
I like it, but
I like Call of Duty.
Shit happens.
Yeah, it's just great to be able to get together with your friends and be able to play a game and tell a story, and it's just fun. And when I first picked this game up, I wasn't really sure, but once you start playing it and you get into it and you understand how it works, it's just loads of fun, and you can play with anybody, literally anybody.
This is kind of the first time we've talked about one of the games we have played, which Fluxx, the 3 different kinds, but we generally plan on bringing you more kind of introductions to the board games we play. I know one of the games I'm looking forward to talking about is a game called Battle Ball, which was a game from Milton Bradley that's sadly no longer in production, but you can find it on Amazon for like $10. Yeah. And it is futuristic football, it's such a simple game, and yet
it's fun.
It's really fun. And another game, much like Fluxx, is Munchkin.
Yes,
Munchkin's fantastic.
Yes. That's an awesome game.
I have the basic Munchkin, and we have Munchkin Bites, which pokes fun at the goth culture, macabre culture. But it's a fun game, and we have a pile of board games we're going to be introducing you to, and once we get better camera equipment and audio equipment, we will be inviting friends over, and we will be giving you playthroughs of the games, which hopefully we'll be able to get it down to like an hour, or we will just give you highlights of the best parts.
And I feel like we must admit that we attempted to review Conan, the Hyborian Age, before this, but we only played the game once, and we just didn't feel like we were familiar with it enough to properly review the game.
And
but we will be reviewing that at
most board game players out there will probably understand that you can't really come to grips with a board game if you've only played it once.
Yeah, especially a game as complex as Hyborian Age.
And as I said, I mean, we plan on bringing you a lot of different board games via this kind of series. However, a board game we are going to separate from this series and give its own series and playlist is the game Battlecry from Wizards of the Coast, simply because that game is a Civil War-based game, and by following through the scenarios in the rulebook, it will take us from the beginning of the Civil War to the end of the Civil War,
which I think will just be fun.
Yeah, I think it will be. It'll be a really good kind of playlist.
Yeah, great for the history nerds out there. I kind of consider myself one. I'm a history minor.
It's interesting to me as a political science nerd because there's the implications of what came from the Civil War.
Yeah, definitely. And the game is just really great.
It's really good.
It's really well designed game.
But seeing it, we've rambled now to the 19-minute mark. I think it's time for us to go. I think we're going to play some Drunk Fluxx.
Yes, probably.
Because there's still this much of a bottle of Kraken left. This is what we're drinking this evening. We are drinking Kraken spiced rum. It's delicious.
And believe me, we haven't drunk that whole bottle tonight.
Or have we?
No.
No, we haven't, or we would be passed out.
We would not be able to
because
talk.
It's 98 proof.
Yeah, we would be able to talk.
Captain Morgan's is here, and Kraken's here, and Sailor Jerry is like here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go study your rums. But because it is the 19.5-minute mark now, it's time for us to go. We're glad you stopped by and watched the video. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed what we had to say. You learned a little bit about Fluxx, whatever iteration we talked about. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you like what we're doing here at Poolshed Games, comment or subscribe to the channel, and
If you don't.
leave a comment, positive or negative. If there was something about what we did you didn't like, if there's something we could do better, tell us.
Let's know.
We want to bring you the best experience we can.
Yeah, and sometimes you see the thumbs down and you're not exactly sure why. So if you didn't like it, just tell us and be civil about it, please. You don't have to be, but please. We're civil people and we like to communicate with the people who watch our videos. So yeah.
So that is it for the Merc and the Lich Lord here at Bullshit Games. It is 11:42 on a Friday night. Hopefully you guys are having some fun with your friends or family, or you're just sleeping and relaxing because it's the weekend.
Yeah, it's weekend.
On that note, hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good time, and we'll see you next time on Bullshit Games.
Live long and prosper.